Hey, good afternoon, everybody. And I'm sure for those of you that are on weekend, you're going to be enjoying some wonderful festivities coming up. But anyhow, today we're going to go ahead and get the power supplies mounted. I went ahead and got all the rest of the wiring all taken care of as far as on all the modules. So we're good to go on that. Now we're going to go ahead and start placing them onto the pallet and get things ready for the last of the final stages. So if you are new to the channel, if you would, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Do all kinds of fun things here as far as building amplifiers, power supplies, and various repairs. So, all right. So anyhow, like I said, I went ahead and finished up this morning and got all the power supplies taken care of. So we've got all of our leads on each module taken care of now. We've got those in place. So now we can go ahead and get this stuff rocking and rolling here. Some modules here out of my way. Yeah, caught. There we go. If I can get a screwdriver in from the top so that would make life easier. Yeah, we can do that. Hello, Bud Man, Squirrel. Try one of these this way. Yeah, doesn't get quite the down pressure that I want. So we'll mount these things the way I've been doing it. Yeah, I can get around the fan grill, but the tab, I really can't get around it too much. So get that off there so I can read the comments. So we'll go from up underneath and put the nut on top. Since I'm using what's called a K-lock nut, it makes life a lot easier. Mainly because it's got a locking washer that's on the bottom. So the way I've got some of these set up, if you noticed, for those of you that was in here yesterday, some of these I've already got the wiring already taken care of so that I can jump from module to module. So I know there's going to be some of these leads I'm going to wind up cutting off, but it's just easier to do it the way I did it. Because this one here, for example, I can actually go to 3 now. So John does Smith. Well, happy 4th of July, John. So each one of these have got, like I said, every other one's going to have wires actually sticking up here, and then we'll cut off what we don't use on the others. I may have to get my hemostats out because of my fat fingers here. Let me get the hemos out. It'll just be easier. Forceps hemos. I think they're all the same. Just a different name for the same thing. There we go. Let's see. Need to charge my phone. Google account name. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Barbecue tomorrow. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully we're not having barbecued squirrel. Yeah, sadly, with working, working a full-time job and then still trying to, fit this in, for some of you guys that have followed me for several years, that I did do this full time, but unfortunately, working for yourself, the insurance sucks. So that was the main reason why I went back to work. And then, come on, let go. So now we just do this part time. Sadly, I seem to be doing this less and less than what I want. But they keep working me more and more at the factory. So hopefully after my wife gets here, we can look into something that's going to slow things down a little bit. Not worried about getting those tight. I just want to get them all set. Then we'll go to the next stage. Yeah, I've actually been out here just a little bit longer than before I started the video. I was playing around with another voltmeter that I'd gotten in, trying to figure out some of the little ins and outs. And then the company that makes the voltmeters that I've been using, the volt and amp meters that I've been using for this, I actually found a way to contact them, and they make a lower amperage meter. Biggest in that version that they go is 100 amps, but it's got a really cool looking design on the display. I tried to get with them, but they said, well, we don't currently offer this one up to 1,000 amps, which was kind of sad. But let's see here. Because that one should be empty. Yeah, so I've got one right here. 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. But they said it is possible. I just don't know how many I'd have to order. So send them a request and see what the minimum that I would have to buy is. But overall, their meters have been surprisingly accurate. You know, they only carry the 500 amp and then the 1000. Some of that doesn't look like a mess back behind there already. Jeez, oh Pete's. Good evening, Mr. Carlock. I see you popped in for a visit. All right, last one. Let me go through here and tighten all these up. Dun, dun, dun. There it is. Get up underneath here, screwdriver, and tighten these up. I know they're still going to move just a little bit until I get everything battened down, but yeah, I'm not too worried about putting a clamp across the top because I want to be able to move these back and forth just a little bit until I get everything all situated. Sadly, I have to go to work tonight, which is going to be my 4th. And then I have to go in the day of the 4th. So we're on plant shutdown this week. Everybody except for maintenance crew. So it's kind of one of those all hands on deck type thing. Everybody else gets to enjoy it but us. Yeah. 2 more. Yes, bud man, I do. Hello, Mr. Nobody. Hey, this ought to run your Cobra 148 just fine. All right. Let's see here. I want to turn that around. And some of these I've already got some zip ties on, because I did that this morning as well. I'm trying to figure out how I wanted to get everything to lay in there.
See, I have the wife send you a page today, Mark. Should be there Thursday. If you like that. Oh, okay.
I'm sure I will. I do appreciate it. Relays. Let's get this out of the way here real quick. All right. But yes, bud man, I had a guy that was going to take a box of these the other day, and for whatever reason, oh yeah, I just got to get with the wife and find out how much, and blah blah blah, and well, I never did hear back from him. So, but I do have 2 full boxes of the 10 amps left, besides what I normally stock for myself, which is more than enough for more than enough for that. But yeah, we do have plenty. There's 10 to a flat, so there's 20 to a box, depending on how many you're looking for. I've also got the 3-pole. I've still got plenty of these. I don't use them fast enough, so I mean, what stock I have for myself, in most cases, we're good. If you do need some 30 amps, I am kind of limited. I've only got about 5 left to spare, because I like to try to keep at least 4 or 5 on hand for myself until they come in. But I do have the 30 amp available as well. And the little 8 amp relays. These are the originals. They're not the orange ones, which are really good too, but these are the original versions that they came out with. And like I said, I got plenty of those. I still got about 75, I think, in that cabinet. And you're looking at $375 each for these. And then I've got some odds and ends as well. Well, hello, Mr. Donkey Stomper. Yeah, I've got the radio on today. All I hear is just noise. So I've got that going on in the background. All right. Time being, I'm going to take these, get them out of my way. Right now, these are the only two that I'm interested in. That's the reason why everything looks so long, guys. Is because of the crisscross. It looks like I'm actually going to be able to trim a lot of this down. That's what I was kind of concerned about to start with, was not having enough. And when you go to start putting something like this together, it's better to actually cut it off than it is to add on to it. So it looks like I'm going to be able to lose about 2-3 inches on each one. We'll worry about that. We'll worry about that part when we get a little closer to the end of the wire. As you guys can see the mess back behind me here. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I told my wife that she needs to be here for this project. She kind of looked at me funny this morning on the phone when we were video chatting. She said, "Why?" She said, "You're the engineer." I said, "Yeah, but you're the woman. You know how to braid things." Yeah, I had to point out, the short hair. I said, "You need to braid my hair," referring to the wiring itself. Yeah, so I'm sure she's already got some ideas going on in her brain. Yeah, let me empty my ashtray. That's what I used to put all the snippets in. But it does feel good not to smoke anymore. I will say that. Yeah, my cabinets, I buy them with no holes in them, other than whatever it takes to actually physically mount each cabinet piece together. Once you do that, everything is hand cut, laid out. There is no, you know, cheater's method. Of course, if I was using the megawatts or something like that, yeah, that would be a different story. Then I'd want to have something like that for sure. Well, Chad, I know whenever you have to build the big power supplies, I know you don't get any luckier than I do either. You have to do it you have to do it the hard way too. I'm trying to keep the same pattern where I've got so many up, so many down on the zip ties. Just gives me a little more freedom towards the end. I think that's my Alexa app telling me that I need to get out of bed. Okay. Yeah, 2 reminders from Alexa. Bedman, give me a little bit. Let me finish up with this, and as soon as I get off the live feed here, I'll pull it up on the computer and get you a price here on a box of them. Yeah, a box is not that expensive. Chad over at Donkey Stompers, he's bought quite a few of them off of me already. Gatekeeper has. It took him a minute to realize what he was looking at, because he was looking for a specific relay that he's been having a hard time finding, and now he's going to try them out. He thinks that that's the same as what he used to use a long time ago. And I could save a bunch of money here on wiring if I just cut these all just to whatever fit, whatever fit. Which, I mean, I think I could get by with that since these are all set up to do load sharing. But to be on the safe side, they're all going to be consistently the same length. May wind up cutting that one back loose, but for the time being, sometimes you have to use one to keep everything right where you want it. This is going to be a 1000 amp, Mr. Nobody. With all Rainmaker wire. There you go. Well, to 1390 volt, 50 amp supply. Yes, you can, Chad. If you look at that 500 quote unquote 500 amp, because it's actually 600 amp. If you look at that video, you'll see that I put two capacitors in that one. I've tried to figure out how to do that on this one, which I could, because some of the ones I've got, I could actually put up underneath here and bring, 2 wires directly up. And I still may do that, once I get all this part of it taken care of, because like I said, I am limited on real estate. For example, I've got some of these which are, kind of a small, they're small, but you can double them up. These are only 13,000 microfarad, but they're rated for 63 volts. So I mean, they're plenty heavy duty enough. The big thing is anytime you put capacitors in there, don't just put one. Even if you go with a lower microfarad capacitor, you always want to put at least 2 or more in there. And the reason why is because it seems like what I've seen over the years, especially with the old iron core transformers back in the day of the iron core, a lot of times I'd have people complain about their amplifiers humming. And it wasn't the fact that they didn't have enough capacitance, but you got to remember, you're pulling, on, for example, an iron core, you're pulling the guts completely out of one of these. So you always want to either double them up or even put 3 or 4, even if they're smaller capacitance, so that they can actually all share the physical load of the device that you're drawing current on. I mean, I've got capacitors this size here. This one, this one's almost a 1/4 farad capacitor. Haven't figured out what I'm going to use that one on, just because, well, you go into a whole different, ball game with it. And since I've only got the one, it's kind of difficult if I'm using it on like a 50 or 100 amp power supply, that's going to be fine. But yeah, most of the time you'll see I will always use at least 2 or more capacitors on almost everything that I build. Oh yeah, this will run a 2-pill amp just fine. But yeah, yeah, 100 amps, yeah, 100 amp module will run a 2-pill just fine. You know, depending on the yeah, depending on the power supply that you're building or putting together, yes. But again, you go in there on some of that. When you're looking at a 2-pill, and I know Chad can kind of back me up on this one as well. Anytime you're doing a 2-pill, it also depends on the transistors. You know, you've got the 454s. I think anybody can actually, but you've got your 454s, you've got your regular 2879s, you've got your Cs, and all of these transistors draw different amounts of current. Trying to keep everything relatively the same on the end. These little bitty fellers are just about too short. .48 pill. Yeah. I don't know if I've got any longer red zip ties. Well, they're not red, but they're not. They're not red, but they're pretty close. I have to use these for the bundling.
It's not counting amp drop for voltage. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yes, they are magenta. They are magenta. Good evening, Gary. All right, so the rest of that I'm not going to worry about at the moment because I still have to put the ends on the wire. I can lay that down here. And we can start over here. Yeah. Yeah, I think it will. I think somebody will enjoy this. Like I said, it is going to be for sale, guys. Yeah, I've got some medical bills and some other stuff that are coming up, and normally on something like this, I wouldn't build this ahead of time, but I've had a lot of people ask about it, and since I've got the physical stock on hand, that's the reason why we're actually building this today. So, and I've ordered some replacements. Since I sold the other power supply, I actually used the money that I was going to use for more wire. I actually used it up to buy some modules because I got a reasonably decent price on some. Still better than the other price that I'd found here the other day. You know, like I said, I found a couple of places where I can get them for around $60 to $80. They are supposed to be factory reconditioned with warranty, but has to do with that shipping cost. You know, and that's what we all fight, you know, to try to keep our prices, you know, as reasonably close to everybody else as we can. Of course, there's times that I use a little more exotic materials than everybody else too. And exotic, what I mean by that is the fact that, you know, I'll sometimes order in very specific materials. You know, and some of it's more for a wow factor than it is anything else. You know, for example, right now, I mean, I've got the Teflon that I used for this. It is a high current. You know, it's not just standard like what most everybody else uses, and that's the wife. It is a nickel plated wire, which means that it can handle more current for the same diameter of wire. And I know I've got to lay this one in there a little different because this one is going to be longer since my positive is going to be on this side. That one in there for now. That way it'll hold it when we grab the next couple of wires. Oh, and let's see. I need to do that too on this side. You may notice on some of these I've got blue dots. What it is that way I've got each one marked as far as for every other one, so that whenever I go to trim them, 5 of them are going to be on one side and then 5 of them are going to be on the other side. That way there can't be any loss whatsoever. I know that if I have to split these up into 2 different terminal lugs, that I've got 5 on one lug and 5 on the other, and they're still all connected no matter what. So thought I'd done it on the rest of those that I did this morning. So as I go through here, I need to make sure I do the same on this. That's easy enough to take care of. Yep. I noticed this one didn't have a blue dot on the top wire, so it'll take but a second to take care of that and make sure that they are exactly the way I want them. Yep, that one's good. Well, it might have been just the one. Oh, there's 2 of them. Okay. But that'll all get cut off too. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, anybody's capable of doing it. It's just a matter of taking the time. Let's see what my wife said here.
Honey, morning kiss. Honey, morning in place. Long time in place. Long time kiss. Kiss, kiss. I miss you.
Yeah, listening to what she has. She tries to practice her English every day. Yeah, so many of these, and I know Chad, since he's in there, I know he's experienced the same thing. I think all of us as builders have, where you see all different variations of how things are put together by different people. Um, for example, I've seen power supplies, and I did do it one time several years ago. Of course, this was back in the days of the 30 amp modules, but I made one that I put 4 wires on each module, of the 16 gauge, and I did that to kind of show that it can be done, but where people are just running a single little wire to try to run each one of these modules. And then we got into the 40 amp modules, which was awesome. Mainly because of the fact that we didn't have near the voltage drop, and but yeah, some of these supplies I've seen were, like I said, some guys build them with just just a single 30 amp wire, and then they've got all this voltage drop, and it's not the fact that the wire itself can't handle the load, but you've got your voltage drop, and that's the other thing too that is not being taken into consideration when some of these are built, is depending on the diameter of the wire or the type of wire that is used, you can have some serious loss. The automotive industry is full of things like that, where they're not real concerned. Sometimes they do get concerned, and then they wonder why things aren't working, and it's the fact that they're trying to cheap out on your car, and they buy or wire your car with an 18 gauge wire where you really should have a 16. Or look at our battery cables. Good God. You've got a big dually, and they'll put like a 6 gauge wire for the starter. I've got an old 88 GMC with a 6-cylinder in it. And, I use a 2 gauge, and it's more because of the fact that I don't want the voltage drop. It's not the fact that I couldn't run my starter on a smaller wire, but I don't want the voltage drop, mainly, especially during the wintertime. And I'm not real sure how this whole go green, use more lithium batteries, electric car, I am not sure how that whole thing is going to play out. I think we need to go a whole different direction myself on the automotive world than what they're trying to get us to do. Hello, Dallas. I see you joined in there for a few. Good evening time, sir. Yeah, like I said, we've got to work tonight, which is our 4th of July, and then I got to be in there again on the 5th, which is, I'll go in the 4th of July evening when all the festivities are going on. That's the reason why, 'cause that wire didn't want to fall in there. Now we're ready for a magenta zip tie. Chad, are you getting behind on stuff again? Hello, Warren. Falling on the wrong wire. Two miles from the break. Yeah, I'd like to have went, but unfortunately I had to work. Yeah, if it doesn't fall on my scheduled weekend off, trying to get off for that weekend, they want you to trade weekends and everything else, and then you wind up working, 2 months straight without a day off. I mean, it's bad enough that I only get 1 day off a month the way it is. They wonder why morale's kind of low, and it's like, well, because you guys don't give us any time off. It's not the fact that you don't pay us, it's the fact you don't give us any time off. We're gonna have to put a couple more zip ties in here. Keep that one loose enough where I can still slide it. Yeah, wire, more wire. I work in industrial maintenance is what I do, Dallas. I do electrical and mechanical repairs for a company. So sometimes I'm, wiring up things that are damaged on the electrical systems and the machinery. And then there's times where, like this week is what we call furnace week. And right now we're doing all the mechanical part of the furnace because, well, everything runs at about 700 to 800 degrees Celsius inside the furnace. So, a lot of damaged parts just because of the extreme heat. So we're going through right now and replacing chains and rollers and all that good stuff. But yeah, industrial maintenance. Thankfully, the only thing that I don't do is HVAC. And in some respects, I actually still even do some of that as well. Most of the companies up here, when you sign in for maintenance, you don't get to get classified as either an electrician or a mechanic. They want somebody that will do it all, not just part of it, but all of it. So I mess with mechanical stuff, wiring, basically just what you see me do here in the shop, to a certain degree. Let's see. All right, Chad, you take care, buddy. Speaking of which, just now looked at the clock and seen what time it is, and we've got to actually stop right where I'm at. So, yeah. And that's the hard part, is like I said, getting everything to lay in there. Like I said, we've got a massive amount of wires here that's got to go up to one side, and then the other side here. This is all set up, even though it doesn't look it right now because I've got it laid off to the side. It's going to do the same thing as far as roll together like this, and then come up to the the supplied point on the back of the power supply for you to go ahead and be able to hook up. So we'll do that with the positive, and then we're going to come back and do that same thing with the negative. But instead of them cascading and coming over to the one side, now we're going to flip flop and everything's going to be the other side to go up to our 1,000 amp shunt. So, but anyways, guys, I'm going to leave this here for you for the night. I am going to get a price for, I think it was Budman real quick. And then I am going to take off and head to work. So guys, you take care. God bless. Enjoy the 4th of July coming up tomorrow. I'm sure I'll be out here for a little bit since it's going to be before all the wonderful lights and festivities actually hit. So take care, everybody. Thanks for joining in. God bless. We'll see you on the next live feed.